Welcome to Raymond James Stadium. We are all set to kick off the 2020 season for Stadium Championship Series Green. 14 of the biggest superstars in Monster Jam are set to compete to be crowned the overall event champion. The road to World Finals 21 begins tonight for 14 Monster Jam trucks as they try to punch their ticket to Orlando, Florida. This is Tampa Bay, this is Stadium Championship Series Green, and this is Monster Jam! Welcome to another exciting season of Monster Jam. I'm Scott Jordan. This is Bryce Kenny, Gray Clips Mohawk Warrior, and we'll be joined by our pit reporter, Leslie Mears. Tonight, we're at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida for the kickoff of Stadium Championship Series Green as 14 superstar driver athletes look to punch their ticket to World Finals in Orlando.
Well, a brand new season getting kicked off tonight. Hopes are high. I can't wait to see what all these drivers have in store for us.
The road to World Finals 21 begins right now. Let's go down to the track with Leslie Mears.
Well, since it's the first event of the year, the pits are a little friendlier than they normally are. But one thing that everyone is talking about are the power rankings. Some guys are puffing out their chests and excited to be in the top 10, where other guys are a little miffed that they were left behind. But one guy that's not paying any attention to that is Morgan Kane, and he's dominated the first half of our show without a mention on the board. So, guys, I think it'll be a bone of contention for all of our competitors across the country to see who makes it on that leaderboard on Monday morning. Guys?
Thank you, Leslie. The power rankings, a point of contention, a new addition for 2020. Speaking of those power rankings, let's take a look at our event lineup. The top two names you see, Ryan Anderson, son of a digger, Neil Elliott, Max D. They are the only two that are ranked coming into tonight. Ryan, of course, #1 overall, and Neil Elliott took a bit of a tumble down to #7. One name that's not on the list right now, my co-host, Bryce Kenny, Gray Clips Mohawk Warrior.
Well, we're going to do something to remedy that, but it's so much fun that the drivers are having these power rankings to kind of pay attention to, and any of the drivers that say that they're not paying attention to those power rankings, though, I think they're full of it because we care. We want to be on that list, and that top 10 list when it comes to rankings, but Nick Pagliarulo is not on that list, and he's out to remedy that tonight.
A new rule for freestyle in 2020 is that a driver-athlete must complete 30 seconds of a freestyle run in order to get a judge score. And you see Nick Pagliarulo coming back down that ramp with a nice wheelie, so a good move to kick off his run.
So between last year and this year, I kind of want to work on being a little bit more technical. You know, I've tried to learn some of the two-wheel skills moves that we've been doing with stoppies and bicycles. I want to kind of implement that into my freestyles and start adding the extra technical wow factor. I was a little timid at first last year, but, you know, getting under my belt one full season, now I'm ready to be a target. I'm ready to get some big air, go crazy, and to make sure I put a wild freestyle together.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if he's able to really put a lot of those skills challenge moves into freestyle, because that's not an easy task to do, because a lot of it revolves around getting a lot of momentum and a lot of speed. Just like he's approaching the step up right here, getting some big air right
jump
there.
For Nick Pagliarulo. I love it.
Yeah, that's what the fans want to see.
And he's trying to save this one here on the sidewalls, and he is going to end up on the roof. But that great jump, you got that FMX ramp right on that track with that step-up ramp. He was able to get up, get some major air, get back down. And it looks like he just got a little too excited on that turn.
Well, I actually think the truck may have died on him. I mean, he had a nice controlled save going, and it just kind of fell over on him.
So big night here in Tampa, which included the debut of Diesel Dave's Bro Camino.
Yeah, I'm leaving the safety nest of the Brodos underneath the safe wing of my friend Heavy D to branch out on my own and see if I can fly. Now, there's a lot of stakes on the line because we got bragging rights between each other. We get to go home to Thanksgiving as brothers, and whichever brother is the better brother to Mom kind of relies on this race tonight and all season.
And there's a look at a very focused Diesel Dave, and he is going to send it to Bro Camino, and some major air to kick it off. Can he save it?
Oh, No, I know he's going to be bummed out about that. That is not the debut that Diesel Dave wanted. It almost looks like to me he might have just locked up the brakes there at the very end. He needs a lot of momentum to see if he was going to be able to save that and get it back on all fours.
Now, we've seen in the past with the one jump and the big score, that is different this year. So Diesel Dave now the first affected by this new rule. And now, Bryce, we get a good look at Kristen Hope in Wolf's Head, one of the newest stars in Monster Jam.
I do like the 30-second rule, though. I mean, because that would have been a pretty big score for Diesel Dave off of one hit. But that's not what JudgesZone.com was created to do. And so Kristen Hope now has an opportunity to come out here, fill the time a little bit, get around and actually show off some of the jumps, because we've seen two trucks. I mean, I think Nick barely made his 30 seconds, and then Diesel Dave made one jump. So Kristen, if she can go out there, fill the clock potentially, get some nice jumps and articulations, a little bit of creativity in the run, the door is wide open for her to go out there and get a decent score.
Kristen Hope last appeared for Monster Jam in Wolf's Head back in April 2019 in Philadelphia. Let's hear from a rising star.
We had a lot of preparation going into the stadium tour. We adjusted shocks, added flow valves, a lot of different things that we're going to have to figure out about this truck going into the season. But so many big improvements, brakes, motor, transmission, everything is perfect thanks to Wolf's Head oil, Wix filters. This thing is ready to rock.
She is a skilled technician. She's a gearhead. She works out at J.R. McNeil's shop in DeLand, Florida, which is great because she's so young and now can drive and work on them at the same time. She's just a smart young kid and a bright future for her in Monster Jam.
Well, so far, I like her freestyle run. I think that she's taking a lot of time to get the truck turned around, and she's taking a lot of time getting lined up straight for these jumps. And at some point, after about that first 60 seconds, she's got to start kind of throwing caution to the wind a little bit. This is her second donut, right? I like adding a donut in freestyle. I don't know about adding two donuts.
I think it's safe to say she's actually playing it safe, not to use that word too much, but you don't see many drivers just kind of glide up that ramp. She went ahead and did that instead of jumping over it, but maybe just feeling out the kinks. It's been a while for her, so a consistent run, Bryce. She fills the clock, but again, nothing too spectacular yet for Kristen Hope.
Yeah, and the truck may not be 100%. You just never know. However, she did a great job, and she can build off of that. I'm curious to see how many of the drivers are kind of overthinking that 30-second rule where you don't get a score if you don't complete the first 30 seconds. But a 6.517, it'll put Kristen in second place.
And she did mention there was a lot of new parts on Wolf's Head, so she may be afraid just to push it a little bit and break anything on that beautiful Wolf's Head truck. But right now, it's Stadium Championship Series Green, the Crazy 8-track exclusive here. Monster Jam Racing Recap is next. This portion of Monster Jam is brought to you by Great Clips, home of the online check-in app. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Welcome back to Monster Jam. We're at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida for the 2020 season kickoff of Stadium Championship Series Green. And there's been a lot of conversation about these new exclusive tracks to each stadium tour. For more on that, let's go to Track Talk with Leslie Mears.
New for 2020, each stadium tour will feature a unique racing course. Stadium Tour Green will feature the figure 8 style track. Now, each racer will have their own figure 8 course to run. And the drivers are telling me from practice one day ago that it's a very technical course because you have 8 turns that you have to master. Now, some of the drivers are telling me that with the loose soil here in Tampa, that they're going to be able to drift around that wide corner at the end. But other drivers are saying their truck is just not really built for that because it's built more for freestyle than racing, so some will struggle.
So we talk about this figure 8. We saw it in Glendale in 2019, a little preview. The only 2 drivers that were there were Jimmy Cretin, Bounty Hunter, and Ryan Anderson, Son of a Digger. One guy that was not there was Morgan Kane and Gravedigger. However, in practice yesterday, he put in 2 of the fastest lap passes. So Morgan Kane, Gravedigger marching to the first racing victory of 2020. And we are going to go back and show you how he got there earlier today.
I'm not surprised at all that Morgan Kane picked up this racing track this quickly. I mean, he's a Monster Jam Racing World Champion, and so he comes out here and dominates every time he gets in that Gravedigger Monster Jam truck, and I'm excited to watch just how fast these times get as the season goes along. I had a chance to run on it in Glendale, and it is a very fun track to race on.
An easy round one win for Morgan Kane's Gravedigger, 20.143. And that would set up a round two matchup with another Digger driver, Ryan Anderson, son of a Digger.
Well, you'll notice that both these drivers actually lined up a little bit sideways to get a better angle going into this first turn. I'll be curious to see if the rules develop where you have to stage the truck equally on that white line. But look at Morgan Kane cutting out that corner, and he is lightning fast going into that second turn.
And the left lane for him proved very, very good in practice, and he would stick with that left lane, and look how much quicker he is coming across that line than son of a Digger as he would go down the final turn, getting a little sideways, but Morgan Kane would get a nice win against Ryan Anderson, son of a Digger. Look how close that was, 0.3 of a second. So Morgan Kane would move on now to the semifinal.
Well, that was ultimately the fastest time of the entire racing competition, and he threw it down against his buddy Ryan Anderson. And so I know he's got to be pumped about that, but Jimmy Cretin in that Bounty Hunter truck, he's got a lot of horsepower. Unfortunately, he just caught a weird lip. It upset the truck, and he wasn't able to recover. But look for Jimmy Cretin to be very competitive in the racing competition as the season goes on.
And Gravedigger again running that left lane so smooth for him. He had it down pat and crossing the finish line with a big gap against Jimmy Cretin. So he goes from having to beat the 2017 World Finals Racing Champion to having to beat the 2019 World Finals Racing Champion, and that's why he won it all in 2016. That would set up a final matchup against Candice Jolly in Monster Mutt Dalmatian, filling in admirably for Cynthia Gauthier.
Well, Candice Jolly, she's a racer at heart as well. And so you got two drivers here on that starting line that take pride in being first off the line as well. And Candice Jolly, if she ever beats you off the line too, she'll let you know it and remember it for years. But she's very fast in those corners, and she had a great night overall. Ultimately, though, look how fast Morgan Kane was taking these turns, setting that Gravedigger truck into a drift, and he was fast all night long.
And that first turn, that was the only mistake I saw from him tonight in racing. He corrected it immediately and gets across the finish line first. Your racing winner, Morgan Kane in Gravedigger. What a start to the night for him. And look at the time, Bryce, 19.796.
Yeah, I think he only had one time in the 20-second range, and so it's not going to be very long before these drivers are breaking into 18 seconds on this figure 8 track, which is lightning fast.
And we know it's a marathon finish to get that automatic bid to World Finals in this series, but it's not a bad thing to get the first 14 points of the night. Your racing winner was Morgan Kane in Gravedigger.
Morgan, this is just the beginning for you, and you said you weren't going to let things like power rankings distract you, and you were going to run your own game, and that's exactly what you did. Nice and tight around those corners tonight, really dominating the course.
I felt amazing tonight. This guy behind me, Parker Hatcher, he works his butt off day in and day out back in North Carolina, keeping Gravedigger 33 ready to go. But the best part about this is I've got my dad in the crowd. He is my good luck charm. Every time he comes to a show, I do good because he keeps me calm. He tells me, hey, just focus on the task at hand and get it done. So, Dad, that was for you, bud. Woo!
We get back to freestyle. This is Kevin Crocker in El Toro Loco. Now, Kevin Crocker been out of Monster Jam for a little while. If you go back to 2016, he drove backwards Bob, then 2017, and a little bit of 2018 behind the wheel of Monster Mutt. Now in his first Stadium Championship Series, here he is with El Toro Loco.
Well, Kevin actually took over Monster Mutt from me. I was in that truck in 2016, and like you said, 2017, he took the wheel. But Kevin's such a likable guy. He's somebody that if you're going to see him at a Monster Jam event at a pit party, you're going to want to go and meet him. He's just a really personable guy, and so you always want to root for this person. But he spent a lot of times in arenas. I'll be curious to see how he feels in this truck, which he's not competed in before.
He has that off-road racing background like you have, driven in the Baja 1000. But we had a chance to catch up with Kevin Crocker earlier in the pits.
I'm a little apprehensive about going big in the stadium just because this is my first stadium. I'm in a truck that I don't really know. I've only driven it a tiny handful of times, and this is totally different than any arena or outdoor event just because the jumps are so big and the fans expect so much. It's a little bit of nervousness in going involved in it, but it makes it good, and that actually makes it a little better because we're a little more focused on what we're doing because we know we want to go really big for the fans.
So you want to go big for the fans, but you have that apprehensiveness, the nervousness from being new to stadiums and not being familiar with the truck. How do you find a happy medium there?
Well, a Monster Jam veteran driver, Cam McQueen, he always told me when I started in Monster Jam, he said, you got to go out there and prepare visually. You can't plan out every hit, and that's what a lot of drivers are guilty of, trying to fill a 120-second freestyle run. And you got to kind of plan the first 2 to 3. But he told me, too, he recommended, he said, hey, stand on each jump, kind of get a plan for, hey, if I'm facing this banner, I'm on this part of the track, this is what I'm going to do next, so you do it automatically. Kevin, so far, he's gotten a little bit lost out there. He's driven around a lot, taking a lot of time to line up for things. Obviously, that El Toro Loco truck getting a little bit warm, so it looks like he's probably expiring his run before he expires that motor, which I think is the right move. But a 6.553 is going to put him in second place.
Now, the original Super Glue glued to the action replay shows you the consistency of Kevin Crocker and El Toro Loco. Again, taking advantage of the smaller ramps, getting some air, some slap wheelies, and then a nose wheelie save there for El Toro Loco. And we move from the Crazy Bull to the Clown Prince of Monster Jam. It's Florida's own Matt Pagliarulo in Jester.
Man, I love running with this guy as well. Had a chance to run with him last year, and he's just somebody that always brings it. He loves getting big air. You know, I hate following Matt Pagliarulo in freestyle because it means I've got to go that much bigger, go that much higher. But Leslie, what's going on in the Jester pits?
Matt Pagliarulo has a new crew chief to add to his team this year. So I have two people talking to him during freestyle, his son Michael and his wife Laura. Now they both got very different styles. Laura told me that she's a very positive coach as she's a teacher, telling him pick up the momentum, that was great, keep going hard. While Michael is brutally honest and pulls no punches when it comes to talking to his dad on the radio.
The Jester starting to put it together. Nice clearing the pod jump into a slap wheelie. I love this track, whether it's the figure 8 or whether it's just a wide open stadium that is Raymond James. You got a lot of space back there. It's very deep, so that gives you a wide angle to turn, and he's coming up again on that pod, clearing the cars and slapping it down one more time.
So knowing Matt, I will say I think this is probably one of the most conservative starts I've seen him have. And again, I wonder if that 30-second rule is getting in his mind a little bit, but he's got to pick it up. Hey, it looks like he's going to add a backflip here. See if he can pull this off.
He is lining it up, Bryce. He's going to sky that Jester, and he will land the backflip. So where does he go from here? We talk about this, and he's going to send it again up the freestyle motocross ramp. On the step up, saves it again, and a great combo move in freestyle for Jester.
Has a big step up. Great backflip, too. Nice and low, nothing too aggressive, so he keeps the truck healthy, and he goes and nails that step up, and that's what Matt is known for. Big air, throwing caution to the wind, and now he's got to throw the kitchen sink at it, though. He can't be conservative. Really good articulation here, getting another slap wheelie. Good creativity. That's what makes a good freestyle run.
And he loves this side of the track. We have noticed that from it, but he's having some problems here. He's shut down, shut off.
Even though he got that backflip in there in big air, if he doesn't fill that clock, he should be docked in terms of that score. Let's hope he can get this thing restarted. The question is, looks like he's got about 17 seconds left. He got it restarted. But what do you do? Right? Do you go and hit one final hit, or do you try to get 2 or 3 hits in that final 17 seconds? I think every driver would have a different opinion on that.
And with the clock ticking away again, he does not look to be in any hurry for his next move.
Yeah, he's got to finish, though. Finish big.
So he is going to turn around. I know what he's going for here. The FMX ramp standing in his way. Here comes the step up.
Huge.
Matt Pagliarulo with the big air again, and that is the exclamation point, the slap wheelie. What a run for Jester.
That's a great run for Matt, and no surprise either, and I love the way he ended it. He just saved it for one final hit to remind the fans, hey, don't hold the truck shutting off against me. Give me that high score. I gave you the backflip. I gave you a lot of creativity, and a 9.343. That score reflects it.
And that is an incredible freestyle run as you take a look at that step-up ramp jump. The BKT Freestyle Top 5. Jester now overtaking his son, Nick Pagliarulo, and cracking for the top 2 spots. El Toro Loco, Wolf's Head, Bro Camino, rounding out your top 5. We are not done with Monster Jam Freestyle, and we're not done with the Diesel Brothers. More action on the way. This is Stadium Championship Series Green. More freestyle coming up. Welcome back to Raymond James Stadium. This is Monster Jam. It's Stadium Championship Series Green. And oh, what a day we had at the pit party as the fans came out in droves to meet their favorite Monster Jam superstar driver athletes. But that was earlier today. Let's get back to the freestyle action here on this Stadium Championship Series Green track.
Well, Dawn Cretin in the Scarlet Bandit truck, she's someone that's so easy to cheer for, and you've heard me say that before in the past as well. You kind of want her to do well. But she's somebody that tries to push the truck where she can, but also she wants to give a lot of variety in her runs and be a little bit more controlled than maybe some of the other trucks as well. But she does a great job at getting the fans out of their seats.
And if you go back to last year, so supportive of her husband Jimmy Cretin, it's easy to forget that she is a fantastic driver on her own. Leslie caught up with Scarlet Bandit.
Dawn Cretin said this year she's ready to venture out and take some risks during freestyle, maybe approach some jumps differently and from different angles. Over the course of the winter, they really beefed up her truck, and she's got a lot more confidence in it.
Thank you, Leslie. Getting back to what I said earlier, she's a big cheerleader for her husband, Jimmy Cretin, and Bounty Hunter. Was right there with him when he won the World Finals Championship in Orlando, but that's why it's so easy to kind of put her in that cheerleader role when, in fact, she can dominate the track, and she's done it before. You go back to World Finals many years ago, she finished in second place, so she has been too close to the top of the mountain as you can get without winning a World Championship.
So far, though, she's gotten a lot of hits. None of them are that big, though. She's got to pick up a lot of the speed right there.
She's just going to lay it there, Bryce. She's going to stop it right there on the track.
Yeah, it looks like she kind of bailed on the sky wheelie there and left it on the tailgate, which is different, and that's what the fans want to see. But I need to see more momentum, more speed getting around. And to her credit, though, a lot of the other drivers were driving around and maybe only getting a few big hits in their entire freestyle. She's getting a ton of hits, but none of them are that big. And so it is a different look that the fans have gotten so far tonight. But if she's going to get a good score, you see that body starting to shed off of that Scarlet Bandit truck. That's always cool, too. It's a new look that the fans haven't seen yet tonight. But if she's going to get a good score, she's got to get some massive air or a backflip, throw something unique in there.
There's a nice jump for her. That's a good way to get it started as the body continues to fall off of Scarlet Bandit, and she's just going to rest it right on top of that pod. And that is going to do it for Dawn Cretin and Scarlet Bandit. No, she is going to go back out. So sometimes we see them just stop, and it looks like they're having problems. They get a chance to refire. She backs it up, and she is back on the track.
Well, let's see what she kind of ends with here. It looks like she's waving. It looks like she is done with her run, and smartly so. But you look at what is left of that Scarlet Bandit truck, and she left a really good effort out there on the track. And a 7.299 without a backflip, and the fact that the fans saw a backflip, want backflips, and score those highly, that's actually a really good score for that run.
And I think that goes back to the quantity, the consistency of her jumps. And Brodos are going to send it off the ramp right away, clearing the crush cars and back on the track. What a way to start your run for Heavy D and Brodozer.
They love starting his run off with that transition. That's a big gamble, too, and cross-threading here early, a little too early. Oh, and he bails on it, which is a really weird bounce, and he's heading to the barrier. He had to hit the brake, but that ultimately just sent him over on his roof.
And that's under 30 seconds. He will not get a score. The same result as Diesel Dave and Bro Camino, so not a great freestyle night for the Diesel brothers, but the crowd loves them anyway. They came, they saw, they jumped, and Bryce, they did not get a score.
Well, these are the two guys that have a blast anyway. Either way, but I know Heavy D is going to be really disappointed, especially the fact that last year he took the overall event championship at this event, and he spent a lot of time on social media reminding all of us that he took home that trophy. And so he's going to go home a little bit disappointed. But Buddy Tompkins in that Exterminator Monster Jam truck, he's ready to come out here and do some damage.
And that's a brand new body designed by Star Creations. I love it. We unveiled it at the pit party. And once again, let's hear from Leslie.
The Exterminator has a brand new body for this season, and it's built specifically for this chassis, so it's nice and tight and lean. And that's going to give Buddy Tompkins an advantage in racing. However, for freestyle, it's going to limit his visibility through the wheel wells, and so that's an adjustment that he's going to have to make on a fly because this is the first event for this body.
Thanks, Leslie. That truck landed very, very hard on the front. I'm anxious to see if the truck, there's obviously something that Buddy doesn't like about how the truck landed. It looked very aggressive to me, and obviously he's saying, hey, I can't jump this 12,000-pound truck when the shocks aren't working properly. So hopefully he's okay, but obviously he's just kind of pulling off to the end of the track at this point, saying, hey, let's save it. Let's move on to the next night, take our medicine. It's great to see he's kind of walking out of that truck and getting off the track on his own power.
Take a look at the original super glue glued to the action replay. Buddy Tompkins in the brand new Exterminator. There's a nice jump there on the freestyle pod, the slap wheelie. I love seeing that move. He got some major air off of that, and I love looking at this truck. Again, Star Creations did a fantastic job designing the all-new Exterminator. Your BKT freestyle top 5. Matt Pagliarulo and Jester remaining your leader. Just announced that MonsterJam.com was the brand new Monster Jam Hall of Fame, and tonight we are so proud to announce the first 2 inductees.
Digger! Grave Digger's on a rampage! Whoa! Dennis Anderson, the Grave Digger!
Just react, man, because he didn't know it. I want you to look at that camera with all your Tampa fans here. How does it feel to be the first going in?
I got to tell you guys, I did not know anything about this. They said I was just going to do an interview and talk about Gravedigger. But to be the first one in the inductee of the Hall of Fame, Monster Jam Hall of Fame, it truly is an honor, man. Yes, I just have to say this. I've got to say it. I want to thank you fans for every nut and bolt on our trucks and every shingle on our roof. Yeah!
Four-time world champion, creator of Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson, an obvious choice for number 1. That brings us now to number 2.
Where I come from? What's my history?
Oh, look at this. Oh! Coming out big. That was the best we've seen. That's a way to handle it.
Welcome to Sam Boyd Stadium. I'm Scott Douglas along with veteran Monster Jam announcer Joe Lowe for 2 hours of the most incredible monster truck racing and freestyle you will ever see.
I knew that wasn't going to end well, but boy, it was spectacular getting there.
I'm Scott Douglas, of course, Mark Schrader alongside.
Well, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't clean, but he got it back onto all 4s.
We love you, Scott!
That's it. You're done. Out.
The official Monster Jam Hall of Fame induction ceremony will take place in Orlando at World Finals 21 weekend. You can get your tickets now. The Great Clips Skills Challenge recap is coming up next. It's been an incredible night here at Raymond James Stadium. More on the way. Stick around for more Monster. This portion of Monster Jam is brought to you by Spin Master Toys. Real trucks, real action, Monster Jam. Welcome back to Monster Jam. Scott Jordan, Bryce Kenny, and Leslie Mears calling the action for you. It's time for the Great Clip Skills Challenge recap, and a new rule for 2020. You can either do 2 attempts at your best trick on 2 wheels or a donut.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see as well as the competition goes along, because we haven't seen that many donuts and how well that they score or how the dirt would fare for a donut. And I think so far tonight with this loose dirt, I really think that Donuts could have scored pretty highly with that, but a lot of drivers chose to stay away from them and do some really good wheelies, just like Buddy Tompkins was able to pull off. You saw Diesel Dave attempting that the nose wheelie and trying to get a moonwalk out of it as well. Matt Pagliarulo with a bicycle attempt here, and got a really cool articulation of the truck. Got it on both sides of the sidewalls, and ultimately something that the fans love to see.
Third place for Matt Pagliarulo and Jester, and he just topped it off with that nice sky wheelie off the FMX ramp into a slap wheelie combo move for him. Morgan Kane and Gravedigger getting some nice air, and here's another slap wheelie. We're seeing a lot more of these, and I love this move. It's exciting for the fans, and it is a great trick to get you across the track. He followed that up with a bicycle into almost the sidewall save, very close, and another save on the opposite side of the BKT tires.
Well, that's what's so cool about those bicycles is it kind of manufactures a save opportunity, and you see the control. But Neil Elliott, I had to endure this guy doing these nose wheelies all of last year. I'm so glad that he's on a different tour from me, but once again pulls out an awesome victory, a 9.619. These Tampa fans were loving it.
He has just mastered this competition. He had 24 wins in the Great Clips Two-Wheel Skills Challenge, now getting his first win in the Great Clips Skills Challenge. I love the rule change. It makes it a little more exciting, gives drivers more options to do, and nobody is going to be better and tougher to beat in this competition than Neil Elliott. You see the leaderboard for the Great Clips Skills Challenge, 14 going for Neil and Max D, and then Morgan Kane, our racing winner, getting 13 more points, so putting together a nice night after those two competitions.
Well, that's going to be a really nice lead for Morgan Kane to take into freestyle as well. He's got 27 points right now, but Neil Elliott, congratulations to him. Let's hear from our winner.
So Neil, tonight, it has really not been your night. So much happening behind the scenes that it's got to feel really good to take this victory here.
I got one new crew guy this year, and he's probably wishing he didn't come to my team, but first round of racing, we had a flat tire, then we come back out here second round, and I break both outer front axles, come out in the skills challenge, sure enough, go out there, break the transmission in the truck now. But
it was all worth it.
Oh, absolutely, you know. Like I said, I was beginning to think that it wasn't my night, but we got a win in the skills challenge, got great crew guys out back, they're going to get that truck put back together, and we're definitely going to come out and burn it down here in freestyle in Monster Jam Tampa.
Let's get back to Monster Jam Freestyle. Jimmy Cretin in Bounty Hunter. Yes, he is the reigning World Finals Racing champion, but back in 2005, he became the World Finals Freestyle champion. Bryce, one of only 7 drivers in the history of Monster Jam to accomplish both World Championships.
Well, everyone likes to watch this truck freestyle because of its low center of gravity, and he likes to get a lot of slap wheelies as well, kind of historically. It'll be interesting to see what strategy he takes into 2020. But this truck also has a ton of horsepower as well. And so it should equate to him being able to get the truck turned around quickly and getting a lot of hits, because he'll be able to have that speed and carry that speed as the freestyle moves along. So far, though, it looks to me he is being very conservative. I think the 30-second rule is coming into play. Nice onboard camera, and you see how much he's moving around and just how violent these 12,000-pound trucks can really be on the driver.
Your current leader, Matt Pagliarulo in Jester with a 9.3, and he's got to be a little nervous. The last time he was up that high, as we see a nice sky wheelie from Jimmy Cretin, but back in Miami 2019, Matt had a 9.543 score, was not enough to get him the win, so he's got to be a little nervous with the heavy hitters coming. Jimmy Cretin's run going to come to an early end.
Well, Jimmy definitely filled his 30-second requirement to get a score, and he's going to get a 5.402. I think he was dealing with some stuff in the truck, though, as well. You saw the back left axle wasn't really cooperating from pretty early on in that run. And then ultimately, that you see the front right tire stop spinning as well. So he has quite a bit of damage to get it ready for next weekend.
Here comes Candice Jolly, Monster Mutt Dalmatian, again filling in very nicely for Cynthia Gauthier. Candice Jolly in 2019 spent most of Monster Jam overseas, and that's not a bad job if you can get it. You get to pad your passport and perform in some of the most amazing countries, cities, and continents in the world.
It would be really interesting to know just how many countries Candice Jolly has performed in total, and I bet she knows that number. But she's somebody that understands, hey, yes, I'm going to get past that 30-second requirement, but she fills a lot of the 120-second clocks in freestyle competitions across her career as well. And so she understands how to kind of start the right way. She'll go out there and get some good air. She also knows how to go out there and kind of test some of the different ramp faces. And you can, and I bet actually a lot of drivers watch which ones she hits, which ones are going to give the biggest air, because Candice Jolly goes out there and gets a lot of hits.
And she is going to come to a screeching halt right now, moving very, very gingerly, but it looks like she is back up and getting to that center lane again.
Something's wrong, yeah. She obviously started going, you notice, like from the very beginning, she got some pretty big air, and it slowly got smaller and smaller as her run went along. So something's wrong on that truck, either mechanically or maybe it just wasn't landing the right way, but a 5.986 is going to put her in 6th place.
Your BKT Freestyle Top 5, your leader remains the same. It is Matt Pagliarulo in Jester. with that daunting 9.343 Scarlet Bandit Kraken. El Toro Loco and Wolf's Head remain your top 5, so no changes there. Coming up next, it is more Monster Jam Freestyle as we look at the 2019 Extreme Air Award winner and Morgan Kane, your current event leader. More freestyle coming up next. Stick around, this is Monster Jam. We are back with more action from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. What a night it has been. We've seen the debut in 2020 of that figure 8, the Crazy 8 track. We've seen an incredible Great Clips Skills Challenge, and now we are well into freestyle. And here is a guy who can throw it down, and should I say throw it up, as the 2019 Extreme Air Award winner, Team Scream Zone, Corey Rummel in Megalodon.
Well, you can kind of see how he's approaching his freestyles as well. Again, he's going to want to fill that first 30 seconds to make sure he gets a score, but I love watching Corey Rummel. I think that the way that he goes out there and kind of throws caution to the wind is something to not only be admired, but also to be studied. And he's somebody that can just seem to get a little bit more air than some of the other trucks for whatever reason. It's got to be his aggression.
Corey Rummel now lining up through that deep side of the track. Again, a lot of turning room here as he just barely avoids Exterminator. Now going to get it back lined up. And we'll see where Corey Rummel goes. Some nice air in cab at the laser focus of Corey Rummel. Still rocking the Megalodon Fire helmet. And I can't think of a bigger collapse than Team Fire at the All-Star Challenge. He was a part of that. It still sticks with him, and he would like to get some revenge on some of his Team Ice opponents on this series.
Well, Scott, I was on Team Fire as well. I wouldn't call it a collapse. I would just call it an old-fashioned butt whooping. And so all of us team members were wanting to get these kind of moments. That big
Look
air.
At the air, the tire just coming off, man.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate for him and his team. But, hey, you could notice that he's starting to turn it up a little bit. I don't like the fact, though, that we've seen so many trucks wait until that 30-second mark to really get a good vibe and momentum going in their freestyle run, because that was probably one of the most conservative starts to freestyle I've seen Corey Rummel have.
And that's shades of Jim Kohler with that jump where the wheel just falls off the wagon. The super glue glued to the action replay. There is a look. Here is that jump. You see it inside, and then when you take a look at the wheel, it just remains on the track. So Corey Rummel disappointed in that run. And now the bell has tolled, and we move on to our current event points leader, Morgan Kane in Gravedigger.
So it'll be interesting to see his approach going into this run as well. He's got a lot of points already. He's at 27, but he's somebody that isn't going to be worried about that 30-second requirement now either. I would imagine he'll go out here strong, starting with the tallest jump on the floor, trying to get a little articulation, but no,
he gets ran right into that jammer.
Oh, such an unfortunate hit and roll almost, and it looks like he must have damaged the four-link bar, or maybe something may have happened in that drivetrain as well, but his run is over. He gets 0 points in a DNF and currently sitting in 12th place. That's a huge heartbreaker for him.
That is incredibly disappointing. He could have played it safe there, but you know that's not Morgan Kane's style. He goes for the big air and the exciting run. And now here's the Monster Energy action of the week. We're watching Tyler Menega at the BJCC Arena in Birmingham, Alabama. This is the Triple Threat Series, and there is the arena backflip off the 8-pack into a slap wheelie, into a save, and then he's trying to save it on the side again. So a triple combo move, you get the double save. Tyler Menega showing you that is definitely the Monster Energy action of the week.
I think everybody loves watching Tyler Menega behind the wheel of Gravedigger. It's amazing what he's able to pull off. But Jester is still sitting in first place with a 9.343, and we've only seen one backflip so far in this event. And that's a little bit low as well. I know the fans are kind of itching for some of that, but we got plenty of freestyle action coming up next. Cannot wait to see what Son of a Digger is able to pull off.
We're down to our final two Monster Jam trucks. Will Jester's Fairy Tale Night continue? Stay tuned to Monster Jam. We are back with more Monster Jam Freestyle at Raymond James Stadium. It's Stadium Championship Series Green and Week 1 on the road to World Finals 21. Right now, it is time to take you back to the pit. Some action going on with Ryan Anderson, Son of a Digger, in the UNOH Pit Report.
when Ryan Anderson was in the pits on the track, he told his crew chief, David Stansel, the truck's not cooling off the way that it needs to. I think we've got a problem. So they did some quick troubleshooting between rounds, and they found out that it's an issue with the water pump. And as you can see, these guys are going to be able to swap it out. It's an easy part to swap out. As you can see, one already marked here for Son of a Digger, so they're hoping he can get back for freestyle.
So it might be an easy part to swap out, but he is on the clock. This is Neil Elliott in Max D, who has a 2-minute clock, and that is all the time that Ryan Anderson's Son of a Digger crew has to get that water pump fixed and get him back and ready to compete in Monster Jam Freestyle.
Well, and the way the night's been going, that's if Max D is able to fill the entire 2-minute clock. So we've seen too many trucks that have expired before that, even expired before that 30-second requirement as well. But if there's anybody that can pull off this amazing show-stopping run, it's Neil Elliott. And Leslie caught up with him earlier.
It's just going to be consistency, I think, is the key. But, you know, being 20 years in the Monster Jam industry, we're going to come out here and we're definitely going to have fun this year. Like I said, you know, awesome drivers, and we feed off of one another. So, you know, we got Ryan, we got Morgan, you know, Jimmy Cretin, all these awesome Monster Jam drivers out here, and we feed off one another. So it's definitely going to be a good tour, and it's going to be hard to win, but we're going to give it 100%. With any luck, we can get the job done.
So that's incredible when you think about Neil Elliott in his 20th year of competing in Monster Jam and still competing at the top of his game. And to be honest, Bryce, at the top of most drivers' games.
I love watching this Max D truck absorb what Neil Elliott throws at it as well. You saw that same jump. I mean, that actually threw Morgan Kane over on his nose. Max D, this truck absorbed almost the same type of aggressive bounce.
Here comes the backflip.
Yeah. We need it. Oh, it's a little bit under-rotated.
Just getting that back tire caught on the container, and he's going to end up on the spikes. But, man, if he would have landed that could have been the run that knocked Matt Pagliarulo and Jester out of the lead.
Well, and you don't see a lot of the backflips under-rotate off of that trench box like that, but it did, and he had to kind of throttle through it a little bit, kept the momentum going, which almost caused him to rotate a second time, and obviously caused his run to be over a little quicker than he planned.
So with that disappointing run by Max D, that means Jester remains your leader in the BKT Freestyle Top 5. Earlier we showed you the action in the pit as they try to replace the water pump on Son of a Digger. He is back and ready to go. It is down to 2. It's either going to be Jester or Son of a Digger winning Freestyle.
Well, I know Ryan Anderson is pumped. He's amped. He wants to start 2020 off the right way. Let's hear from him and how he's approaching tonight.
2020, all new year, new decade. It's going to be awesome. I'm super excited. I have a brand new truck. I'm still trying to tune everything in with it, but I'm having an absolute blast doing it. The thing seems to be great at freestyle. It honestly gets more air off the jumps than my last truck, so I'm pretty pumped about that, but I still got to get the thing fully tuned in, but I am coming in super stoked.
Let's take a look at the abbreviated version of his resume with some nice air for Son of a Digger, the 2018 Freestyle Champion.
Oh, no.
And he just can't make it happen. You usually see him save those. And he is not going to finish his run. A DNF, not completing 30 seconds. How many times did we see that tonight? 4. And look at the emotion on Matt Pagliarulo's face. The tears coming down. The first stadium freestyle win for Florida's own Matt Pagliarulo and Jester. 14 points. What a night for him.
Well, it's clear that we had too many drivers that were thinking about that 30-second requirement, but congratulations to Matt and that entire Jester team. That is a huge win for him.
So, Matt, you go from Monster Jam super fan to Monster Jam superstar, taking home the freestyle victory, your very first here of your career in 2020 in your home state of Florida.
I can't describe it. I mean, I have come to this stadium as a fan since 1990 watching Monster Jam. Every single one of these drivers, I've watched them over the years, and I finally got the chance to bring myself here and drive my Monster Jam truck. I never would have thought that I could come here and win freestyle. I battle these guys every week, and it's tough, and we keep digging, and we finally got one, and I just cannot believe it. There are a lot of people I need to thank. I need to thank Monster Jam. I need to thank my family. It's unbelievable. I mean, Feld Motorsports, Monster Jam, every one of these people right here, my family, all of you fans, all of these drivers. I've been watching these guys for years. I've learned by watching them. Dennis deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. So does Scott Douglas. I grew up watching them, and I am so excited that I could do this tonight in Tampa, in my home state. Yeah!
You gotta love the enthusiasm and the excitement, and well-deserved. And look at the overall event standings. Morgan Kane in third because he did not get any points in freestyle after getting 27 in the first two competition. That opens it up for Matt Pagliarulo and Jester to take the overall event championship, and Ryan Anderson a disappointing 8th. But man, what a night, what a story, and what a performance. Your overall event champion, Matt Pagliarulo and Jester.
So not only is it your first freestyle victory, it's your first overall event championship.
I'm a Florida boy, and I am taking that event championship trophy home to Florida, and it's staying in my shop, and we're keeping it here for all the Florida fans.
What a fairy tale night for Matt Pagliarulo and Jester. We saw and heard the emotion, his family down there sharing in this moment with him. It's been a long and winding road, but he finally gets that event championship.
Well, you can hear the emotion in his voice, and that's what makes this so special. And all of the drivers were rooting for Matt Pagliarulo just like the fans were, and he brought it tonight.
He will go to St. Louis next week as the series points leader. For tickets, go to monsterjam.com. We're all over social media at Monster Jam. For Bryce Kenny and Leslie Mears, I'm Scott Jordan. Good night from Raymond James Stadium.